Well, good afternoon, gentlemen. We normally do this in the morning, but Charlie's had a strange old driving behind a lorry driver by the sounds thing that went asleep. It is the scourge of lorry drivers, and you can always tell if they're falling asleep because the trailer starts to swing. And being an ex-lorry driver myself, I used to have this weird habit when I got tired. I would pull one trouser leg up and I would yank the airs out the back of my leg, like just trying to keep myself away. Obviously, the idea is you pull over and you have a kit. I think it used to be, don't know if it's changed. After 4.5 hours continuous driving, you had to have a 45-minute break. But the sensible thing to do is don't go by them. And you did the right thing there, Charlie. You had a good week, Robbie?
Yeah, it's been all right. Well, obviously not so happy about yesterday, but week itself, I got to meet my mate and who's going to come on this show in a couple of weeks.
Fantastic. Charlie, you had a good week?
Yeah, not been too bad.
Yeah, I mean, we will start off with the final yesterday. Robbie and I did a pre-show recording on the what we thought the game was going to be. I think we read it perfectly, Robbie. We both said it's going to be a tight nip and tuck. Both teams were going to negate each other. And personally, we said it'll either be 1-0 or it go to pens, didn't it? And it looked that way. I mean, I watched it and I thought that Palmer, by the way, he's been coming under a lot of stick lately. They all look like they should up their game because it looks like Mr. Xavi Alonso is taking the manager's job. But I thought he'd give a fantastic defensive display yesterday. But when you've got a player like Cole Palmer, I think we all know that he works better as a 10 and he works better if you've got a target man that can. We realise now what Nicholas Jackson did for the team, where we say sometimes you forget what you've got and you don't realise it. He lacked pace. What Nicholas Jackson did, he did all the donkey work, didn't he? He pulled defenders away, and it also freed up Palmer. And I think by what that the manager did for Chelsea, I think he did. He negated a lot of City's attacking down the left, but I also think it took a lot away from what Palmer brings in attack. I think, and in the end, was it a fair game? Could have gone to pens. I suppose you both had little chances in. I think it's one of the finals with the least amount of shots. And obviously, Semenyo, Harry got that ball behind him with the pace he did with that back flick. It was a good goal. But do you agree, Robbie, that you think he played Palmer the wrong way?
Yeah, I think some of it, I don't know whether it's to accommodate Fernandes more forward. I don't know, to be honest, but it seems strange for me because when the kid has a bit of freedom, he can do a lot of magic. But he needs some freedom. And I think you're right. I think he went in safety first, the manager. And it kind of was a decent defensive play. We didn't offer a lot in attack. I do feel we should have had a penalty, but moaning about it's not going to change it. He took his goal well. There's not a lot you can do about that. It's a great finish. And that's that.
I actually think, just for a change though, Robbie, just for a change, we will come to VAR again, and I don't like it before. I can't stand it. I want it out the game. I want it. Or I want 30 seconds. 30 seconds, instant, yes, no, change decision, blah, blah, blah. And then if not, there's the referee's decision. But I watched the Conference League Cup final with your dad a couple of years ago. And they played Betis, didn't they? And in the first half, literally, really and truthfully, Betis could have been 2 or 3 up. You know what I mean? And I thought myself, it's not looking good. Now, they let Palmer off the leash in the second half. He completely changed the game and freed up and made loads of space for a bit like Kuleveski does for Tottenham. And I think that's why they've had a lot of problems. And Palmer come on and changed it, and you went on and won the game 4-1. Because I felt you was getting a bit bullied at the back. I was talking about, in attack, because of the strength and the ruggedness of Man City. I do think at half time, yes, he's not had a good season. Yes, he's lacking on confidence. But I do think if you'd have brought Delap on, I think he would have got about. No, Mum, the other way. No, the other way. 55 doors in this house, and they've all got to come through the same way.
Why you're talking?
And I think if you'd have brought Delap on and you'd have said, right, get at them. Don't matter if you get an early booking, get at them, let me know there, and free Palmer up. And I think they missed a trick by not bringing the big man on. Charlie, did you watch the game?
Yeah, I did. I understood why Chelsea started the way they did. And almost, starting with 6 defenders, really.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of got it, but this isn't the City team of old. This isn't this City team who go and batter teams and stuff. I think this City team have kind of been there for the taking this year. And because it's a final, I can understand it being a bit cagey. And I think once Chelsea kind of knew they was in a game, got into this game, I kind of maybe would have liked them to switch up a little bit sooner because it just didn't feel like they had enough quality in attack. And I think if they'd have done that, I think it might have been a different story.
I thought Chelsea played fantastic, Charlie. The Chelsea we've seen recently, I didn't think. I thought, if City bring Cherky on and they played a quick football, the quick one. But I thought they really, really played well, Chelsea.
But that's what I'm saying. The fact that they played well, I think they would have liked to have gone, do you know what? We're playing well. We can do this. And I don't think they ever, it was almost the belief from the bench just was like, no, we'll keep it tight and whatever else, where I think they should have maybe gone, do you know what? We're on top. Let's keep this momentum going.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
it's a great goal, worthy of winning a final, the goal. But I think those players and the staff probably at full time would have been going, we should have won that.
Yeah, I think you're right, Charlie. I mean, if you even look at the goal, I think Semenyo wanted to take that ball from Ireland. Because if you look when Cherky plays it through, he goes for it, doesn't he, Semenyo? But then Ireland goes ahead of him and takes it, and then he just drops back a bit and he pulls the ball back. It was behind Semenyo, and it was a good goal, yeah.
It was, yeah. I mean, I think I read a stat. Ireland had 20 touches of the ball all game. It goes to show how difficult it was for City to get a foot on it. And again, like I say, Chelsea were really in that. And I think they will probably look back on that as a real missed chance.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, when I used to have the kids' football, I say to the kids, look, throughout this game, right, you're going to be on the pitch for 90 minutes unless someone's losing. Like, Tottenham got 15 minutes the other night, didn't they? I think Arsenal got a lot of minutes. And the likelihood is, even in professional game, you're going to have that ball between 2.5 to 3 minutes a game. That's how long you're going to actually hold the ball. So I say to the kids when we did our little game, keep the ball, don't lose it, don't give it away. And I've always said it about Ireland. I don't know what he is, but if you sort of put him in a lineup with 10 strikers from yesteryears, big lumps, it's a lot better with their heads. I don't know whether I'd take Ireland. His stats are going to prove that he scores the goals. But when we come back to see, it's the end of an era, really, for John Stones, 10 years, 20 trophies, and Bernardo Silva, who I think has been, you get Fernandez mentioned what a great player he is and how many assists he's got. But I think what he has done for City over such a long time, I think he's had 10 seasons altogether under Guardiola where he's been. I think he's been amazing. And I think when John Stones went there, I didn't think John Stones was going to be a sort of player, a bit like Gay. I couldn't understand the Gay signing when he's gone there. But I think they've both been really good servants to City. Do you not agree, Robbie?
No, they've been good. Stones upped his game there. We were trying to buy him at the same time years ago. So he was highly rated, weren't he? And I think when you've got top-level coaching as well, you've got to improve. It goes through. So I think Stone's done well there. I don't know what his plan is. He's not retiring, is he? He's just going to leave, isn't he? So someone will snap him up. Someone in the Premier League will take a chance. Go, you know what? He's got bags of experience. Like when we were saying before, people like Jordan Henderson and that, Xhaka at Sunderland. He'll go somewhere. He'll go and it'll do well there for them, and he'll help a lot of younger players. So I think
who does he replace him with, though, Charlie?
Don't know. It's a weird one with City with centre backs because they do this, didn't they? Their centre backs have. I mean, Stones kind of went missing for a while when he first joined, didn't he? And it kind of took him a real while to get going. But even like Diaz and Laporte, they have these centre backs who do really well for about 2-3 seasons, and then they just kind of almost go off the boil. They've brought Gay in. Who's kind of been fairly solid. I wouldn't say he's been great. But it's City, innit? They can always go in the transfer market and kind of buy what they want. I think Kusanov is kind of coming on a little bit, although he seems to be a little bit of a liability as well. But, you know, they can always go out and splash 70, 80 mil on a centre-back. So they'll be all right.
Yeah, you say they can, but they can't. I mean, I said to Robbie when we did the other one, if you looked at the two squads that cost the most, you know, I think Chelsea's 1.3 billion, City's was 1.15, I think. But then you look at who's going to win the league. I still say Arsenal going to limp over using one of Robbie's acronyms, and they've spent the most, you know, in the league. And I hate it when it's all about money, which is going to bring me on to the second subject. I watched a fascinating program with the Coventry chairman, and they've been talking about, you know, the success that Coventry have had with the players, with Frank Lampard, and I think he's done a deal for 5,000 season ticket holders this year that they've got them a silly, ridiculous price. But he won't. It's all very well giving, you know, 5,000 people, I think they were 200 quid, you know, these season tickets. But now in their 34,000 seat stadium, like, where are they going to have to pay the rest of the season ticket holders, you know, to make the money up that they've lost? But it brought up about the he's an advocate for the money being shared a lot more equally from the greed of the Premiership and going into the Championship. And he's basically said, like, next year, he said, if we don't say, like, we do a derby, I think Derby went down on 11 points. I think so far they're the worst in the Prem. He says, oh no, I'm going to get 120 million from the TV rights, and it don't make no difference. He says, whereas this year I got 5 million. He said, and that cannot be fair. He said it has to be distributed a bit more fairer. And he said there is an independent auditor going in there to change it round. Do you think that it should be not just into the Championship, Charlie, as into the first division, the second division, even as far down as the National Leagues? And by the way, Charlie, congratulations to your local side, Hornchurch, who got into the National League this year. Do you think it should be shared about a little bit more, Robbie?
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? I do think some of these that there should be more chance for them at least. But I suppose the bigger teams or the Premier League will look at saying we bring the money in. People want to pay to all around the world to watch the Premier League. So I think the difference is vast, isn't it? It's incredible the amount of money in there. But I think it's quite difficult because how far do you go with it? You know, we were talking about City there, you know, United, West Ham, Chelsea, all of them. They're not going to want to lose a lot of money for example, to clubs in the third division. So it's kind of, it does seem unfair, but I think that's the thing with elite sport.
But you want clubs to go out the leagues then, Robbie? I'm talking about even, you know, your side alone this year has spent 65 million on agent fees. I think the price of agent fees, to try and stop the agent fees, I think it should be doubled. The Premier League should bring in and go, whatever you spent on agent fees this year, that's going down. The leagues, that's being shared down, right down to all the referees, societies, down to grassroots football for these next stars to come through. I think it's an absolute absurd amount of money. Now, I've looked at the parachute payments, so the clubs that go down, which I also think is unfair. If they're only going to get the likes of who missed out, let's pick Wrexham, right? Yeah, Wrexham have got owners that, at the moment, they're quite happy to splunge money. You know, you look at the Sheffield Wednesday chairman, right? His name is forgiven. He's cost 150 million he's put into that club, right? Into Hillsborough, into Sheffield Wednesday. And he's got nothing but abuse from a lot of Wednesday fans. And that's 150 million of his money gone down the pan. Right, the Premiership, the parachute payments from the Premier League it's to soften the blow once you go down, right? So how much do they get? At the moment, the payments are based on the first year 55%, 40%, second year 30% of the Premier League equal share domestic. So basically, say they went down, year one, they'll get 50 million. Year two, they got 40 million. And year three, they get 15 million. So the most they'll ever get is 105 over 3 years if they don't go back up. If they go back up, they don't get it. If teams have just gone up and gone straight back down, they only get it for 2 years. I don't even think if your club has got itself in a mess, like my team, West Ham, like Spurs, why should they go back down to the Championship and straight away start off with a 15 million bonus, even though we know West Ham's debt is going to be within 150 million? I think that's ridiculous. Do you not agree?
Yeah, I think it's unfair on the teams that are battling to come up. We've just said they don't have a lot of money, and you know, I've said about sharing. I think it's a bit unfair. I realise some of it is probably to protect the club because of the salaries that they've got players on, but then that should be part of their contract. If you get relegated, you get less money because the club doesn't have it. But then how many players are going to sign that? We don't know all the deals and the ins and outs. But I think that's quite difficult. But I don't think they should be getting the money. I think if you're out, you're out. You don't get money for carrying on in the Champions League if you go out in the group stage. You just get it up until then, and that's it.
Got you about 65 million this year. Charlie, no, I think Charlie's going to shake his head and disagree with me on this one.
No, I think it should be distributed. So we know that no clubs will ever go under. I mean, but then if you look at Bury a few years ago, and I always remember Gary Neville saying he was getting a lot of stick because there was a lot of fans saying he should help Bury and stuff. But he was like, because of his involvement with Salford, he was like, I actually am not allowed to get involved. He went, there's rules, and which kind of prevented him. The Premier League does have a lot of money. But if we're going to sit here and slag off the Premier League, then you've got to look at other countries. You've got to look at Spain, Barcelona and Madrid. The TV rights is so unfair out there that the lower clubs have absolutely no chance, and Barcelona and Madrid don't care. So you're talking about two of the biggest clubs in the world. Bayern Munich, I don't think it's particularly bothered about what happens to other Bundesliga clubs as long as they're dominating. And then you kind of look at the Premier League, and funny enough, in terms of all the other leagues, it is actually distributed quite fairly, the TV money, in terms of who's in it. But then when you go down, the problem is there's such a gap now between the Championship and the Premier League. That's the issue. And I think these parachute payments are meant to help the club struggle. But then look at Leicester. I think they relied on that parachute payment, and it still went wrong. And they
but Charlie, it's even the shirts. I mean, it's different for Man United, maybe for Chelsea, but for say West Ham, we've got a betting company on our shirt. I think it brings in between 10 to 12 million. When they go down, the shirt sponsorship is only going to be $1 million. Right now, we see what happens with your lot, Manchester United. This was, by the way, when Jim Ratcliffe went in there, and instead of saying I think he got rid of Ferguson's $3 million ambassador role. They also started getting rid of tea ladies and car park attendants and the bootmen and stuff like that. Now, all their wages, hypothetically, I would pick anyone. Let's pick, who should we pick? Casemiro then. Let's just pick him out. It's just a name on his $300,000 a week. I always remember Mikel Antonio, when he was at West Ham, he came to West Ham from Forest and he started off as a right back, and then they put him in there. And he ended up playing up front because whatever was in West Ham, have got no chance of ever finding a striker. I don't know what it is. And then, he was a bit of a bully, and he didn't stop running all day. But some days he'd hit the corner flag when he shot. Sometimes it would go in. He did a podcast with Callum Wilson, and they said to him, "Why did your form pick up on the last parts of the season? The last 15 games?" He said, "Because the manager come in and says, when you go down, you're all getting a 50% cut." He said, "So when I knew I was going to leave, I think he was on just over $100,000, I was going to end up on $50,000. So he said, it made me get out." And at that point, that was when the total respect went for me, because Joe Muggins, the people that go football, the people that are bus drivers, train drivers, work in offices, cleaning roads, it don't matter about them. They go every week expecting them players to put in 100%. They spend their money to get there. They spend overpriced on a burger. They probably spend overpriced on a skirt and that lot. And that completely ruined everything for me with Michael Antonio. He ended up smashing his car up drunk, didn't he? Which really ended his career. But if you go down, I still don't think the clubs that go down should get a parachute payment. But what I do think, and I'm hoping the independent order brings it in, that there's got to be a bigger share of the pie going down, and the clubs in the Premiership should be run better. There's so many clubs in the Premiership that's got so much debt, mine included, Tottenham's included, and they're on all this money, and you're chasing a rainbow, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, which could take you out of existence.
Yeah, but
when you go down, when you go down, Charlie, you should start that season. And how many teams is there? 24 in the Championship, Charlie, I think. So if you go down, you're one of them 20. You're the other. Let's say the top 3 go down, doesn't it? So 21 of them teams are starting off at net zero, and 3 of them teams are starting off on 50 million. It's wrong, mate. It's wrong because you'd all start off and you should also have the same chances of getting back into the Premier League.
It's wrong, but also, I mean, yeah, but look at it from the results point of view. Not all of them always come straight back up. If money was such the big problem, then those 3 teams that went down would always come back up, wouldn't they? But they're not, because the results, the Championship is one of the most even leagues there is, and just because you get relegated from the Premier League does not mean you're automatically going to come back up.
Yeah, but it's all the grounds, Charlie. A lot of the reconstruction of grounds and safety things to get back in the Premier League. So I remember the Orient. I think I mentioned this last week when they had a chance to go in the Championship, not this season, last, and he went, it was going to cost me $6 million. He said, personally, I was going to run find $6 million for us to go up, for changes to the ground, for different stewards, for different policing, etc., etc. It's a lot of money. It should be fairly distributed, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Robbie, am I wrong and Charlie's right?
Oh, this is hard. I'll be honest, sitting on the fence. No,
Don't sit on the fence. You're either with Charlie or you're with me,
no,
Robbie.
I'm siding more with Charlie here. I'm siding more with Charlie because I just think in your own business, why would you give it away? You see, why would you? I understand helping the lower ones. I think it should be a bit more of a. We could take some players from some of these leagues. They could be buying more. But the other way I look at it, if you're going, your supermarket's got more money than a local shop, so they can do what they want with it. That's just, it sounds unfair, but that's life, isn't it? With it, so
no one wants to see a football club. We've seen plenty of clubs fold. I'm not saying that. Saying, yeah, give them more money, but the likes of Man United and Chelsea ain't gonna want this evenly distributed across 92 teams. They're not going to settle for that, and especially you take but a lot of clubs get the ump with this PSR because they're saying it benefits the top, the clubs like Man United and City and Chelsea, because when this comes in, if you let's say Blackpool get taken over by a billionaire, they're not going to be able to do a Chelsea ever again because PSR is going to restrict. So it's keeping those clubs down there in the first place.
Man City want to look back 12 years, Charlie, before the Arabs come in, and look what they used to achieve. They went down 2 divisions like Leicester did. Yeah. I just think you've got to have stuff fairer. I want to see more training. We said this about the Italian Football League. Who was it who made the report? It was Baggio, I think, Charles, weren't it? Who did that 400-page report. And he said it all starts with the kids. It all starts with the training they get. You said that they did it with the England side, didn't they? They released an academy. But personally, I think it's got to be distributed more. You can't you can't have this pyramid Ponzi scheme. Yeah, I think it should be distributed. And the independent
an NFL type thing then, where they do a draft.
No, I don't think you should do a draft. No, I don't. But I do think also players' wages should be capped.
How's it going to be distributed?
I think players' wages should be capped.
So for instance, Man United do let's say they're like 800 turnover. You think that they should just willy-nilly just distribute that across the low legs? It's never going to happen, is it?
No, I don't think they should get it. Let's say hypothetically the lowest team in the Premier League, 120. I think it's about 120 they're going to get. So who's ever gone down is earned 120 in TV rights alone this year, without all the shirt sponsorships, without all the advertising, without all the corporate, right? They shouldn't get that. Let's say they should get 70. And that other 40 million they was going to get should be going down, not just to the Championship. Because we're talking about commentary, we're talking about the Championship, and then them teams, instead of earning 5 million from their next TV rights. I don't understand how Sky get every game in the Championship. They can broadcast every game in the Championship. So next year, West Ham go down, I can watch Sky and watch my team every game because they do it. And yet they're only paying them 20, what's that, over 24? 120 million. So they're paying the Championship 120 million.
But again, PSR is going to stop this. PSR cuts all this out about distributing, because Man United, no way, if they go and win the Premier League and get the prize money, then the Premier League or the FA turn around and go, we're not going to give you that much. We're going to take some of it away to give to the others. Oh, by the way, because we're giving that now, you don't comply with PSR, so now you're going to be fined, or now you're going to get a transfer ban. And Man United are going to turn around and go, well, hold on a second. If you didn't distribute that other money that we earned, we would be complying with PSR. That's what I mean. There's just too many variables now. Should it be distributed more? Yeah, but then you could say that for literally every other league in Europe.
Which brings me, by the way, boys, to a fascinating thing that happened. There's down the bottom in La Liga, there's about 6 or 7 teams on 39 points. Have you seen it? I mean, obviously I follow Elche. It's my nearest team here. My Spanish teacher is Celta Vigo. Looks like they've got European football next year. But the 6 there's like 1 of 6. Looks like they could go down on 39 points. Hopefully it's not Elche. Sergio Ramos and his brother, amongst others, have paid 450 million for Sevilla. And he has come out in an interview and says that in principle, 6 Real Madrid players are going to go with him to start his project. Now, I looked at his wealth and it puts his wealth at 80 million, what he says he's worth, what he's hiding, who knows. So he's obviously got some investors somewhere to invest in this money. He's also got to take on the debts of Sevilla. So I'll find out what the debts are in a minute. What do we think then of Sergio Ramos? Would you put him up there as good as a defender as Maldini was in his prime?
No, I don't. He was a good player, dirty sod as well. But then you play for Real Madrid at the top for that amount of time. You've got to be decent. You're gonna get found out. So to be fair, I think it's hard to compare him. People like Maldini is a bit special. And that's probably one of the first names. If you ask anyone to start naming a world 11 or whatever, and the defense, he's probably one of the first names on the list at the back. But I think fair play. I'm sure Sevilla is his hometown club, so I think that's great. If he's got some investment to go back to his hometown and do it, I think it's brilliant. To be honest, I think that's a great.
Charlie?
Yeah, I think fair play to him for wanting to take over and help out. I mean, I don't think Sevilla are actually in the best financial position ever. I think if I read somewhere not that long ago, and this is a well-known Spanish club, got more UEFA Cups than most people, isn't they? It's almost like their name's on the trophy. So yeah, good luck to him. Hopefully it works out. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Playing football and owning a football club.
Charlie taking over clubs? Do you like ex-footballers taking over clubs?
I think from a perspective of a player, I think it does help. But then, there is that business side of it, isn't there? So you've kind of got to balance it, depending what he wants on the pitch, where he wants Sevilla to be and where they can realistically go. Again, you want to talk about TV money. They're not getting nowhere near the TV money that Barcelona and Real Madrid do. So they're going to be restricted.
Then La Liga should not have allowed it to happen, Charlie. I've just had a look. Their net debt is 90 million, but they say the gross debt could be nearer to 180 million. So hypothetically, if we put it in the middle at around about 120, this sale would cost about 570 million. So that's a lot of money to get in. Guys, all good luck to him, by the way, because Sevilla a few years ago, I think they won 3 Europa Leagues on the trot, didn't under Ure and Richard?
Yeah. It's ridiculous at one point, yeah.
There's still a chance they can go down. I bumped into a couple of years back. Julie went out in this mauvey coloured dress, and we walked into this bar in Mallorca, and it was full of Arts fans. And they said, "Have you come in to support Arts because of the coloured dress she had on?" The West Ham's top last year looked like the. Remind me about tops actually. That's another bugbear I've got about yesterday's final. So let me see. So anyway, all year I've been rooting for Arts. Doing a bit of a Leicester, a change round. So they was clear by 3 points, and lo and behold, Celtic played Motherwell. So I watched a great game, by the way, a great game of football. Really, in the last 10 minutes, it was 2-2. It looked like Motherwell was on top, and they were going for it. And the ball comes open, a long throw, which apparently is not Celtic's thing, and the 2 of them go at the same time. Now, the Motherwell player's got his elbow here. The guy underneath him is his shoulders here. So as they've gone up, the bloke who's underneath him has pushed his arm up. So the ball comes over. It's the Motherwell guy on the head. It don't touch his hand, by the way, right? It's like that. It touches here. And they get a penalty in the last minute. And they get the 3 points. And there's been murders, absolutely murders in Scotland. When I finished work last night, there was 3 Rangers guys. In fact, one of them's given me his number last night, and he wants to do a podcast and talk about it next week. Now, I know they hate each other, Rangers and Celtic, a bit like the Robbie and Tottenham, I suppose. But he said it's absolutely scandalous. He says, and they've got a couple of decisions, and decisions have gone their way. I don't want to bore you with VAR, but obviously, Hearts had to play Celtic yesterday, and whoever won the league. Celtic won it 3-1. And but if it would have been the draw with Motherwell, believe it or not, even though they lost yesterday 3-1, Hearts would have won the league on 1 goal difference. Mm-hmm. Did any of you watch the Celtic Motherwell game?
No, it was late in the week, wasn't it? I saw it like 99th minute, dodgy penalty. My phone was blowing up with it. But I've seen the video. It's ridiculous. It's almost like you're trying to... We moan a lot about it. I could moan yesterday, Arsenal the other week and all of that. And sometimes it goes for you, sometimes against. But I thought it was ridiculous. I don't know how they found that to be handball, to be honest. I don't know how that happened.
100%. Yeah, I'm sick of it, Robbie. And do you know what I'm also sick of? Like another manager, PGO, whoever they are, they come out 2 weeks later and they go, "Oh, sorry, made a mistake." Yeah, Don't do it. The game's finished. It's over. You're not going to overturn it. Now then, there's 2 things I've got to get off me head. The first one I've missed. Why on earth did they let City and Chelsea both play in blue tops yesterday? Why? I know one's dark blue and one's light blue. We could have done Alex Ferguson and they lost 6-1, and he said that it was the crowd at Southampton that made the grey tops camouflage into it. Do you think that was someone should have played in white on one of their away tops, Charlie?
I mean, the referee decides if there's a kit clash or not, so they obviously thought that the shade of blue was dark enough not to matter.
Probably ridiculous. Robbie?
Yeah, no, the same as that. I don't think for us, it's quite clear. So if the ref's happy with it, then I can't see it. I'm guessing the Chelsea were first, so they would have technically been the home side and would have had the choice. Unless, I don't know what City's away kit is like, because maybe that would have clashed with it. And they probably thought it's better. I don't think it makes a lot of difference. To be honest, I'm not going to claim that the kit gave them the cup, because it didn't. And I think the players know each other.
We were going on to Southampton now, guys. Now, back in 2007, we had a player signed for us, 2 players. One of them, believe it or not, weren't good enough, was told he weren't good enough. Mascherano went on to captain Argentina, went on to captain Barcelona, went and played at Liverpool, but he weren't good enough to play for West Ham. I think Aidan Mullins kept him out of the team. And we got Carlos Tevez. Now, Carlos Tevez scored 7 goals in the last 9 games, and it kept West Ham up. Unbeknownst 21, there was some sort of registration issues that didn't go through with the Premier League, and Sheffield United went down. Everyone and their mother sued West Ham. I mean, it was the burger van man, it was the bloke that sold the scarves and everything. West Ham settled in the end, which probably admitted guilt, and it lost them 30 million. Now, last week, Robbie brought up that all the Middlesbrough fans, when they went to the second leg of the Southampton, they all went with binoculars because Southampton scout went and was looking at Middlesbrough doing the training. And now Middlesbrough is saying that Southampton should be thrown out the playoff final. Middlesbrough should go through. Now, this has been going on, like going scouting at grounds for God knows. I know there was a World Cup once, and all the away fans, they was told to go to where I think it was the England team, where their hotel was, sing outside all night, set the fire alarms up, ring in and say there was a fire, so the players all had to leave their rooms. Do you think this is just sour grapes and it shouldn't happen? Or do you think that Southampton could get slung out the playoff final because some bloke was on the sideline with a pair of binoculars, Rob?
I don't think they'll get thrown out. It might be unethical, but tell me it doesn't go on at every club. I can say to Charlie, right, you've got a decent phone, just go and pretend you're talking to your mate with a phone. You can video it. You can record 4K on your phone now. It happens everywhere. It's probably bigger because it was just before a playoff game. But then the scouts go and watch every game anyway and probably training. So I don't think anything will happen. It will just be, it's a bit unethical because the guy got caught. That's my feeling with it. Because Middlesbrough, obviously they've got they want a chance to get in the Premier League. I get that. But you can't tell me they haven't done it.
Robbie, they blew it. They had a chance early on in the season. I don't know why, but their nickname, a lot of people call them the Smoggies because they used to get a lot of fog, mist, smog, whatever you want to call it, up there. And I was out one night with a guy, my friend who's got the bar in the Rec de Mar, Spooner. And we were talking to some Free Middlesbrough guys. And at the time, they were level on points with Coventry. In fact, they went above Coventry because Coventry suddenly had a bad patch, didn't they? You know?
Yeah.
And they lost their form. And they could have gone up automatically. Obviously, Ipswich played really well the end of the season. And we've said about last week that Hull beat Millwall. And personally, I think the top three should go up. I've said it and said it and said it, and I think they should go up. But I think it's just sour grapes. Charlie, you got any opinions on this?
I mean, it is. They've been charged, haven't they? But
yeah,
they've not actually been a fan that they've cheated for spying. I know you say it goes on somehow or other like that, and I get teams always try and get any edge they can. But if you get caught, then what's the punishment?
What's the punishment with City? 117 charges. What's the punishment with Chelsea?
I know.
Almost £1 billion.
Yeah, like we spoke about 15 minutes about money. South Middlesbrough can just turn around and go, well, that's just cost us 120 million. Now, it might not have, but that they can make that argument. So why should
that? What United did, yeah.
It's what I mean. So it'd be interesting. Do I think they're going to be kicked out? I mean, it'd be mental if they actually won it. Because what do you do? Well, maybe they should just distribute the money with Middlesbrough.
No, I knew you were having a go at me today, Charlie. I know you've had a dodgy drive up the link and you've got the ump right, but don't have the ump please because you've been out driving all morning. It's a fair point I've made, and all you're worried about is the coffers going into Man United's thing. I think it's a load of old toss.
The thing is,
Middlesbrough would be ashamed. They weren't good enough, Middlesbrough, and that's all there is to it.
No, I know, I get that, but the regulations are, and I know it's a bit of a kind of a silly rule, but clubs should act toward with the utmost good faith towards each other, which is a regulation. And I know it kind of sounds a bit weird, but it is. And also, clubs are prohibited from observing or attempting to observe another club's training session.
Ollie, have you swallowed a dictionary on that way up to Lincoln this morning? I asked you, do you agree with it or not? And it's a load of old tosh. Middlesbrough was not good enough to go up with automatic promotion, and they weren't good enough to win their playoff game. Now,
I don't agree. You should spire. Yeah, this is not a 007 film.
I think it's just he's been caught. You watch next season, there'll be loads of this going around, people getting caught.
Tell you what, Robbie, next time he goes on a journey in the morning, he comes back with the road rage. We're doing the thing early. Listen, Robbie, serious note now. Robbie's looked into this for me. We briefly mentioned on it last week. Jimenez, it's Alejandro Jimenez, right back at Bournemouth. He's been suspended from the club. Bournemouth has suspended him. Whether that means they pay him or not, I don't know. Personally, I think the first thing to do if they don't play, don't pay him. We're Mendy getting it, and he just won the case back against. Right, he's basically been accused of trying to do some sort of allegedly some grooming. Robbie, can you fill us in on what's gone on?
I've read, obviously, I don't know how realistic these screenshots are because I could make one in 5 minutes myself on the internet. But it does seem that he has been chatting to a young girl, a 15-year-old girl. And for the ones I've seen, she says on it, I'm under 18, I'm only 15. Does that bother you? And he said, no. This is allegedly. I don't know because it's what I've found online. He said it doesn't bother him. So it's quite clear what he's going to. I don't even know how he would get her number, to be honest. But either way, if he knew she was underage, was he 21, 22, something? He should just leave it. He should have walked away from it. Knowing that your phone, you can screenshot everything, you can record it. So he has been silly. It doesn't seem like he's actually done anything. However, I've got a 15-year-old daughter. I'd go nuts if there was a 20-odd-year-old man texting her. So I think he'll be, it's nearly the end of the season and we'll see what he comes out with. Probably some apology that he didn't realise or whatever.
Do you think that he should be sacked from Bournemouth if found guilty?
I don't know. They worked out. They Probably, but a club is not going to want to release a player that's just going to go and play for someone else. Are they?
Well, we had this with Greenwood, didn't we, at Man United? And
Yeah.
I mean, eventually the girlfriend dropped the charges, Charlie, did she not?
Yeah, she dropped it, didn't she? I mean, they're together, aren't they? They've got a kid together in Marseille and stuff. I suppose it's a little bit different to this case.
She's underage, yeah.
He's underage.
I think they should make.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a difficult one. Personally, I think, you know, when Adam Johnson got it, the things that were sung to Sunderland fans, and I mean, I went out with a mate of mine, Geordie Steve, I called him, and they were shouting at him in this pub like about Adam Johnson. I thought, well, it's not his fault that Johnson went and did what he did and, you know, did the dirties in the back of cars. I mean, he actually went to prison, didn't he? Adam Johnson. I just think they should know better, Robbie, in this age where there's eyes everywhere. We know there's people make out, you know, WhatsApp goes, we've got end-to-end encrypted chat. It's all crap. They know what's on your phone. They know where you are. You've only got to say you're looking for a washing machine and a day later it comes up on your phone. There's people actually lifting somewhere. Guys, someone messaged me about the World Cup this morning. I actually said to them, I couldn't care less. You know, it's the World Cup. The Qatar one bothered me. You know what I mean? Really bothered me. And I've froze again. Can you still hear me, Robert? All right. Yeah. And I don't think we should have gone. I think a lot of the Nepalese, the Indians and the Pakistanis that work there, they got literally 12 hour on, 12 off, you know, and just basically fed. And so many got killed, over 1,000 got killed. And I didn't agree with that. And I just can't get no interest on this one. But we are trying to get some the greatest teams ever. So I just want I was watching someone on YouTube is doing it, but he's got all the players. And literally, to a man, I've had Ronaldo's, I've had Neymar's, I've had Pepe's. Everyone that's picked a team have put Paolo Maldini in there, either at left back or at centre back. Would we all do the same? Have Maldini in our top 11 team?
I think so.
For a World Cup?
You wouldn't have it. Who would you have in as left back? Or
because
centre back
because if we're are we going on performances in the World Cups? Is that what right? So if you're going on a performance, right? But if you're going, you can't just go on. If I was to pick my all-time 11, Maldini would be in it. But I don't remember ever sitting there after a World Cup and going, "God, Maldini was great in that tournament." I don't.
Well, who would you put in there?
I'd have to think. It depends on what rules you want there. Yeah, if you're just picking players or favourite players, or
if you're picking players that played in a World Cup, that's very different from players who performed in a World Cup. Like Cristiano Ronaldo is not really performed in a World Cup.
Give us your 11. Who would you do if you was picking your team?
Well, I'd have to think about it. But like my favourite goalkeeper of all time is Schmeichel, isn't it? Now, do I sit there and go, well, Schmeichel played in what? At least, well, of what I know of, one World Cup. But I ain't going to put him in my all-time World Cup 11. That would probably be what, maybe Buffon. I mean, I weren't around for Dino's off, but, you know, from what I'm told, he was captain of Italy, I think, when they won it.
Yeah, I'd have Zoff. Zoff would be over Buffon for me.
Yeah. So it's a hard one, but that's what I mean. Are you going off of performances, or are we going off of like Miroslav Klose is the scored most goals in World Cup finals, but I don't think many people would have him in, would they?
Not up front, no.
So that's a difficult one. We'll do that one episode.
Right then, next week, gentlemen. Hopefully, Charlie's in a better mood next week. We won't sure he won't go out. He's literally read me the right act this week. Weren't even my fault.
Didn't even get asked on the Alex Jimenez thing, did I?
Yeah.
So you know something, Charlie? I'm a bit. Do you know with this with Jimenez? I just think we did a psychological one with a guy that does men's health. And I was saying about youngsters in teams and people that get the abuse, you know, on the pitch and the songs that, I mean, Robbie said wants to do one on chants, which, although I find it funny, I think when it gets personal, it can be very, very hurtful. But I think with the Jimenez thing, I do think that each club should have some sort of sporting psychologist there going, listen, this, if you write this on a message, if you go online. I mean, I remember many moons ago, very quickly, I was in Corfu with some friends of mine and we met three guys, right? Didn't know them from Adam, right? Turns out this guy played as centre half for Millwall. Neil Emblem, his name was, right? And he said to me, I pushed Pat Van Den Al out the team. Pat Van Den Al got the ump. He went, but we go training. By 10, 11 o'clock, we're bored, we finished. He went, I go and play snooker. I go down the bench shop. He did what he had to do. He's very successful. I won't mention it in case he's married and happy now. But I went down to get a paper in morning like you do years ago when you went, and I found, and it went, Graham Taylor wants to know where Neil Emblem was. Now, I don't know if he signed, I think he signed him for Wolves, right? But he told me the amount of time you get after you've done your training. Now, that I'm talking about, that was probably around about 90, 92, 93, something like that. I don't know whether things have changed and they train 2 or 3 tour-mines a day and then they do some gym work on the night. I don't know. So unless we get a footballer on here to tell us, Robbie said we're going to get Muzzy. Is it on? Yeah. Maybe he'll tell us. But I think when you get that much time on your hands as youngsters, especially foreigners when they come over here, I do think they sit online. My other boy, Charlie, he plays, not Jack, sorry. He plays people with games around, one's in Russia, one's in Denmark, one's in Sweden. But the only difference with this one is if this girl has said about she is 15, then I think they've got decisions to make. Charlie, I'm sorry I didn't come. What would you do if you was the Bournemouth manager? Although he's leaving at the end of the season.
The problem is you can't play him anyway. Like, it doesn't look great, does it, to begin with? So they've got to suspend him until this all comes out.
On pay or not on pay?
The problem with not on pay is that this is what Man City done to Benjamin Mendy, wasn't it? And now he's got found not guilty and is now suing Man City for everything.
He won.
He won. So that's the issue there. You'd probably still pay him and then kind of maybe sue him afterwards if he did get found guilty. But I mean, either that or just don't pay him his wages and whatever he would have got, distribute it to the other 91 clubs in England.
He's still having a go at me, Robbie. Have you noticed? I'll tell you something. If you've got the ump, don't come on here again with the ump having a go at me. Robbie, I want to ask you a question. He's brought up something. Oh, 1 second. He's brought up something here, right? He can go back on his bus ride to Lincoln in a minute. Robbie, if I was going on about players' wages, being topped, how about, right, if it's all on performance related? So if you win, all the team get another, hypothetically, instead of paying, let's pick someone who, Boeing, 120 grand a week at West Ham. If you win, if you don't win, you only get 100 grand. If you do win, you get the other 20 grand. Can we stop the wages that way? Can we make them play more? Because a lot of people say at the moment, these last 2 games, most players are on the beach in their flip-flops, couldn't care less about the team, couldn't care less about the fans. Would that be a way forward of changing the wage structure, Robbie?
Is that not what West Ham done with Callum Wilson and West Ham fans got the ump about it?
No, what they done with Callum Wilson, they paid him a basic of 6,000, and every time he played, they paid him 90,000, and they paid him 10,000 for a goal. I mean, ridiculous. Playing
basically when they.
Yeah, but they got the ump, Charlie. Like, why should not, if as a West Ham fan, why should, like, say Callum Wilson, not his fault, by the way, so I'm not going to go at Callum Wilson, but for whatever reason, he don't want to play him. I'd play him at the moment because West Ham need to score goals, especially today against Newcastle. But why should Callum Wilson come on in the 93rd minute, not through no fault of his own, by the way, before you jump down your throat again, right? And he plays till 95 minutes, so he plays 2 minutes and then gets another 90 grand.
So you only get paid. So you only get paid when you play. Is that?
He's 6 man. Listen, this come off of Lawless Live. Like, he's on he knows a lot about the West Ham thing, and he said he's 6 grand basic, and when he plays, he gets 90, and then he gets 10 grand for every goal he scores. So if he plays a minute, he gets 90 grand. If he plays 30 minutes, he gets. If he doesn't play, then he just gets his basic 6 grand bonus.
But if you're like a squad player, so when you don't play, and you know you're not going to play after games, you know you're only going to get paid for half a season.
I think.
Do you agree with it or not? That's what I'm asking.
I think a lot of
job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that, Robbie.
Sorry, interrupt you. I think a lot of them have that anyway. I know that it was something the Americans with their 48-year contracts where players have done. The basic salary is lower, and then they get bonuses. And I think a lot of players have that anyway. If that's what they've negotiated with Callum Wilson, and he's probably thought, maybe got a bad injury record or whatnot. So he's done it, and then he's got to make himself good enough to get a game. I think a lot of these players have it. Some don't, obviously, but I think the days of, well, clubs are doing it anyway. I think the days of these players just getting, what was it, Casemiro, he said 350 grand a week. The top players will earn that, but there'll be conditions to be met, to be honest.
The average is 65, Robbie, in the Prem. When they average it out, yes, you know, Fernandes is on 180, but it averages. Right, guys, it's been absolutely fascinating. Me and Robbie sat around, waited 5 hours for Charlie to come home. And when he comes, he's had the up and down non-stop moaning at me. So listen, boys, before next week, I want your World 11 from any era, any team that you're going to go to the World Cup with. If that's all right with you, Charlie. Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
We'll go over the rules. Yeah, sure.
We'll discuss that off air.
Right, guys. Thanks for coming on, Robbie. Charlie.
Good luck.
Thank you very much for the insults. Good luck, guys. Take care.
Cheers.